So it's a real pleasure I can talk here today, but just let me explain first who Flanders FOOD is. So Flanders FOOD, I'll go through this quickly, is a cluster organization, the spearhead cluster for the agri-food industry here in Flanders. And what is typical about our cluster is that we focus on the growth and economic value creation for the agri-food industry. For this, we collaborate in the quadruple helix, actually. So we collaborate with academic partners, with innovation partners, with the Flemish authorities, European authorities, but also with the consumer and farmer associations here in Flanders and in Europe. These are just some figures to give you an idea of what we do. So we have nearly 300 company members. We are 20 FTEs. We set up a lot of projects. At the moment, we have about 15 ongoing projects. These projects are regional projects, but also European projects, interregional projects, etc. We organize a lot of events and trainings for the agri-food companies. We have a newsletter to inform them. And we also have several pilot facilities which we can use for scaling up lab tests, to make first productions, to do sensory analysis, etc. So this is really briefly about who Flanders FOOD is, to give you a bit of an idea who we are. But I'm mainly here to talk to you about our smart specialization partnership that we have set up in 2017. So this partnership is called Smart Sensors for Agri-Food. We set this up in 2017 together with other cluster organizations in Europe. But for some facts, you mainly know, I think, the agri-food industry, it's a very traditional sector with trends towards artisanal and local. It's an SME-driven sector with over 90% SMEs here in Europe, but it's also an economically very important sector in Europe. Everybody knows that the world is changing. This gives a lot of challenges, but also a lot of opportunities, especially when you look at everything related to Industry 4.0 and digitization. There's a lot of data available in this chain, going from the agricultural sector up to the consumer. But this data is still often locked in or not used, and it's our aim to really use this data and integrate and interconnect this chain and make it in this way much stronger and smarter. So like I said, we established this partnership, Smart Sensors for Agri-Food, in 2017, where we started talking, as Flanders FOOD, we initiated this, and we started talking with other cluster organizations in Europe we knew and we know, and which have basically the same focus as us. So they are also focusing on the agri-food industry and also focusing on digitization of the agri-food industry. And so we started from this idea and developed our vision and our strategy. So what we want to do with our partnership is that we want to prepare all the agri-food companies to make the leap towards Industry 4.0. So not only the big companies with strong interlinkages and connections with consultants and organizations that can help them, but also the SMEs, because they need a lot of support in relation to this. We want to inspire all the companies to use these new technologies, to connect them to the cloud, and in the end, use the data that is available in this whole agri-food system. So, and in the end, we want to become a more interconnected, resilient, and smart agri-food system in Europe. So this is our main aim. We also developed some specific objectives. So what we also did is we are setting up a network of living labs. So what are these living labs? These living labs are basically pilot facilities where these new technologies can be demonstrated. So these facilities can be used to get together all the actors in the ecosystem, to give trainings, to give demonstrations, because we are convinced that this will accelerate the implementation of sensors, ICT platforms, and data management systems in the agri-food companies. Because seeing is believing, and if they see what these technologies can do, it will go a lot quicker and it will really facilitate the implementation of these technologies. And what we also want to do with our partnership is to set up cross-border collaboration between companies. So this is our partnership to date. These are just the regular members. So you see there's a good spread all over Europe. We are 14 regions collaborating with, at this point, 19 regular members. There are also a lot of associated organizations, 21 to be precise. And we all focus together on supporting the agri-food companies in their digitalization process. So these are mainly cluster organizations, but also RTOs are linked to our partnership. And there are cluster organizations from the agri-food industry, like, for example, Flanders FOOD, Pagralim, Clusaga, Sincar in Spain, for example. But there are also clusters that focus on digitization or on the machine industry, like SIM in France and Rijckaert in Hungary, just to name a few. So we developed a strategy and implementation roadmap, and we also started from a specific concept or methodology. This concept and methodology was really set up in Flanders based on projects that we have done here in Flanders, and we rolled it out all over Europe. So we call it a 5 steps to success methodology, where we go from awareness, make the agri-food companies, but also the technology providers and digital solution providers aware of what is out there. Also make the digital solution providers aware of the needs of the agri-food industry, because this is really important. To create a community and create a trust zone between these different sectors to ensure that they understand each other, to validate technologies, implement them, and then create leverage. So we start from technologies that are already available at a high TRL, and we start from the demands of the agri-food industry. We create this ecosystem around them, bringing together companies from the different sectors that are involved, so agri-food companies, but also digital solution providers, machine producers, etc. And then we set up applied-oriented research projects where we can validate the specific technology that comes from another sector or that's not at sufficient high TRL and try to implement it in the agri-food industry. And then we go to implementation with concrete investment projects, bilateral projects between the agri-food companies and the other sectors, or collective projects linked to the living labs, where we implement sensors or data management platforms in these living labs so they can be demonstrated. All this, we always focus on what partners do we need, what sectors do we need, who should be involved, and this can, for example, also be integrators, because in the end, the agri-food companies won't integrate these sensors themselves in the machine. This is done by other parties. So we also develop a clear ecosystem around this. What we have done as well is to really roll out our strategy, set up our strategy, and roll out our strategy is also we got funding. So we applied for European projects and we got 2 projects approved. So the first project is Consensus, which is a more strategic project where we developed our strategy as a partnership. We also elaborated this network of living labs and organized study visits and demo cases. And then the second project, which started a bit later, is, and I think David, who comes after me, David Verstraeten from Yazzoom, will talk about a concrete project that came from this, is agri-food, which is an InnoSub project. And what is specific about these InnoSub projects is that this is a 5 million euro project, but over 75%, nearly 80% actually, of the budget is used to directly support SMEs. So in this project, this agri-food project, calls are set up to give vouchers to SMEs to set up their own project linked to the digitization of the agri-food industry. And David will talk about a concrete voucher or a concrete case in this perspective. So further on this agri-food InnoSub project, we once again started from the challenges of the agri-food industry. So what are they aiming for? Specifically, the SMEs is improved efficiency of use of their raw materials, water, energy, etc. A higher quality of the project, and also a clear follow-up of the quality. sustainable production and product, and better food safety. So these are some crucial aspects. Based on these challenges, we developed 4 thematic priorities in S3 Food. Sensors, implementation of sensors to detect sensors that they need to monitor real-time critical control parameters, integration of these sensors, then data management, so data extraction and use in the company, but also in the chain, and then connectivity in the food chain as such. So also collaboration with agriculture and retailers and consumers in the end. Here again, we used a stepwise approach, which is highly similar to what I told before with the methodology we developed. So first it is awareness creation and building of a community. So see how Industry 4.0 could work for you. And then learn from experts and other companies that already did it. Team up, find relevant partners, and then develop your idea and then get funding via the voucher calls, like I mentioned before. So we had a first call in the framework of S3 Food. You can discover these projects that got funded on our website. So 44 projects got funded with 51 individual SMEs that got funding via these calls, and Yazzoom will talk about that later. And there's a second call coming up that will be launched this December with validation vouchers and application vouchers. So where technology providers can validate their technology in the agri-food sector, and where you can also apply for vouchers with concrete implementation of these technologies. So this is what I wanted to tell. So we, as Flanders FOOD, are located in Brussels, and we are also the established office of our partnership. And now I would like to give the word to David Verstraeten from Yazzoom, who will talk about their concrete project that they developed in the framework of this voucher call. Okay, David, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Veerle. Thanks for that very nice talk. And hi, everybody. Indeed, as Veerle said, I will take a few minutes to talk about, to introduce very briefly one of these projects that have been submitted and approved under this S3 Food framework. Let me get my slides here. Yeah, so I myself am engineering manager at Yazzoom, and the project I want to talk about is BISCIT, which stands for Better Biscuits Using Intelligent Software and Cameras for Quality Control Using Innovative Technology, which is a bit of a backronym, of course, but which does capture what we hope to achieve with this project. The project is being executed. It started in September of this year and is being executed by a consortium consisting of 3 partners. It's an international consortium, Belgian partners and one Dutch partner. The Belgian partners are, on the one hand, La Confiance, which is an industrial bakery producing high-end biscuits for various markets, but mainly focusing on locally sourced ingredients and using traditional recipes. The second partner, the Dutch partner, is called Coldstream. It's a machine builder specializing in building ovens, and more specifically custom-built oven installations, focusing on sustainable energy-based technologies. And finally, we ourselves, I'm from Yazzoom, one of the 2 owners of Yazzoom, and we are a company based in Ghent, supplying artificial intelligence-based software and services, including applications where computer vision is used, and that's the technology that, or the expertise that we are applying here in this project. So what is the problem that we're trying to solve, or what is the situation that we are starting from? We have a production line, one of the production lines at La Confiance, which consists of a gas oven with a conveyor belt running through that, on which the dough of the biscuits is placed, and where it passes through the oven where the biscuits are baked. The main process parameters that control the baking process are the oven temperatures. The oven is divided in 6 zones, each with its own temperature, and the speed of the conveyor belt. And the current procedure to do the control, the process control, is to take samples once every hour in the best case, or sometimes even a couple of hours, depending on the availability of the person who does that, the quality control personnel. The sample is judged based on color and texture manually, and if necessary, the process parameters are adjusted based on this assessment, starting by adjusting the belt speed to control the time that the biscuits are in the oven, and as a second measure, also controlling the temperatures of the zones in the oven. Now, of course, there is room for improvement here because these samples are only taken once in a while, so it's possibly that there are multiple periods of bad product being produced and therefore waste being created. Also, the quality control is manual and therefore somewhat subjective. And it's possible that the machine is at any given time running under suboptimal settings, so leading to a higher energy consumption than is necessary. So what is a proposed solution that we want to achieve in this project? It actually consists of 3 parts. The first part is to do a digitization and automation of the oven control using a PLC to start to automatically control the conveyor speed and oven temperature set points. Second component is to integrate this oven control with the ERP software, so that enables to automatically send set points for the process parameters to the PLC at the start of the production of a certain recipe, a certain batch. And finally, and this could arguably be called the most innovative part, is a computer vision system which continuously online checks the color and texture of each of the appearance of each of the biscuits passing by, both the top side and the underside, and which will then learn from past operator interventions and do online fine-tuning of these oven process parameters starting from the recipe-specific settings. And together in this entire solution, all the expertise of each of the individual 3 partners comes together. What does each of the partners hope to gain from this? Because this is not a commercial collaboration, but a subsidized R&D project. So each partner hopes to gain something that is not directly expressible in euros, you could say. And for the technology partners such as ourselves and Goldstream, our benefits are to gather knowledge outside of commercial trajectory. So this gives us more freedom for experimentation and for validation. We hope to also gain a nice reference case of some advanced AI-based process control with some clear results and a demonstrable added value. And also we aim to gain reusable intellectual property, which we can then apply to similar other cases of computer vision-based process control in the food sector. And for La Confiance, the problem owner, the benefits are, of course, automatic control instead of current manual control of the production settings, to have objective instead of subjective quality measurements, to achieve a reduction in manpower, and to produce less waste, and also to gain better control over the food safety, and finally to realize a reduction in the energy consumption. Voila, that's in a nutshell the biscuit project.
So the question I have, first of all, I mean, what kind of support did you receive from the platform, from Flanders Food?
Well, so aside from the obvious monetary support that we received from S3 Food, this platform actually also enabled us to come into contact with the right partners to execute this project. So it was through S3 Food that we were introduced to La Confiance and Goldstream. So this consortium would not have come together without the support and assistance of Flanders Food and the S3 Food platform.
So that the use case for biscuits, did that come out from having the connection with that partner, or is that something that you already had in mind from the get-go?
The problem itself was introduced by La Confiance, by the problem owner,
Yeah.
but of course the solution that we came up with was kind of a result of the joint collaboration of each of the three partners bringing in their own expertise, and La Confiance, for example, their knowledge about how the baking process works. We with our AI and computer vision knowledge, and Goldstream, of course, for the knowledge about how to build the oven and how to automate the process.
Okay, Veerle, we received a question also in the chat. It was about living labs. The question that is being asked by Peter Paul Cornelissen is, well, are you setting up the living labs yourself as a platform, or are you doing this in partnerships? How does that work?
Well, the thing is that most of these living labs are facilities that are often already out there. And like, for example, when I look at Flanders, we have pilot facilities here that focuses on the agri-food industry, and we're ramping them up. So we are adding technologies to these pilot lines that are available there. And what we also do is we interlink the different pilot facilities, because most companies don't know. They know potentially what is available, for example, in their own region, but they don't know what's available in a region that's next to your own region. And via these linkages we make, and via the network that we have set up, they can easily consult and see, okay, what other pilot facilities are available that could be relevant to me. What we have also seen is that there are specific regions where these pilot facilities are not available, so that they still have to be built or still have to be set up. So these are things for the future that we want to look into investments, and this can be investments with regional money or with European money. So there are specific funding schemes in Europe available there to set up pilot facilities in regions that are lacking them.
We are over time, but I'm still interested. I have one question to add. Or you showed the funnel earlier. In the funnel, there was an important point, the trust zone, I believe you called it. I think maybe Yazzoom is already in the trust zone, as it were.
Yes,
and then the implementation zone. And then the implementation zone, questions like funding and financing and scaling up becomes important. Are you involving financial institutions and banks in the platform, or how do you go about doing this?
Yeah, so most of the partners in our partnership have a lot of linkages with funding on a regional level and also on a European level. And we, as established office at Flanders Food, also informed them about the funding possibilities in Europe. So these are classical funding schemes, but there's also of course, other financing means, like via the European Investment Bank or InvestEU and things like that. And so these are things that we are looking into now and for the future as well. Because, of course, there's funding, but financing via banks and business angels are things that are relevant as well. So we're starting to look into that as well.
Okay. Well, thank you both for the contribution today. It's very interesting.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Yeah. Thanks for the platform.
And, well, have a very good day. Maybe we'll see more of you another time.
Yes,
thanks, everybody, for visiting this session. We have a break now, and we'll come back together, I think, in a general session at 5 to 4.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.